For this lesson, we are going to be learning about Dia de los Muertos, also known as All Souls Day. Dia de los Muertos is celebrated in Mexico to pray for and remember friends and family members that have passed away. Friends and family often go and place gifts and flowers on the grave sites to honor their loved ones. Within Mexico, it is a very important holiday and is celebrated on November 1st and November 2nd. November 1st is set aside to honor the deceased children, and November 2nd is for honoring the deceased adults of each person's family. On both days, it is a reminder that life is precious and fleeting. Dia de los Muertos, or All Souls Day, is now celebrated in Spain, throughout most of Central and South America, and much of the United States, including parts of California, New Mexico, and Arizona. Some people call this celebration Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead face painting is part of the culture, and it shows that people who believe in the afterlife do not fear death. Often, people paint their face and dress up to march in parades. Large skeleton papier-mâché sculptures are also made to carry on this parade day. People will often add decorative elements to the design of their face painting as a way to beautify the face. It is important to understand that Dia de los Muertos is not the Mexican version of Halloween. In fact, Mexicans have been celebrating Dia de los Muertos since the year 1800 BC. On these 2 days, people use the skull as a universal symbol, but the skull and the celebration is not intended to be scary or morbid. There are no pictures of ghosts or witches or even the devil. It is offensive to connect these days with dark imagery such as these. This celebration is a Catholic Christian ritual intermixed with folk culture, and going to Mass is an essential aspect of this celebration. It doesn't honor death, but instead honors those who have died. It welcomes the opportunity for people of this culture to reflect upon their lives, their heritage, their ancestors, and the meaning and purpose of existence. Now let's look at some of the traditions that are passed down. One of those most famous traditions is the use of the skeleton. The skeleton and skull is found everywhere. There are chocolate skulls, marzipan skulls, white chocolate skeletons that you can buy and give as gifts to each other. If you have ever traveled to Mexico, you will also see all year round stores that sell these beautifully crafted, handmade skeleton figurines, which are called calicas. Calicas usually show people in the afterlife in a joyful and active way. You can find figures like musicians, generals on horseback, and even skeletal brides with their white bridal gowns marching down the aisle with their bony grooms. Another tradition is paper decorative tissues that are called papel picados. It's a decorative flag with a variety of patterns used to decorate buildings and streets during celebrations. One of the traditional flowers in Mexico is the yellow marigold, which are symbolic during the Day of the Dead. They symbolize the short duration of life. Often people place these on the grave sites or even on the altars. And finally, another important tradition is making an altar for a loved one. These altars are also called ofrendas. Family members and friends place items like marigold flowers, bread, fruit, candy, sugar skulls, and even pictures of the deceased. They also light candles and buy gifts that the person may like. It is important to understand, though, that these ofrendas or altars are not for worshipping, but a place to show love and remembrance to the departed family member. It is not meant to be a sad ritual. It's a day of happiness in remembering the loved ones, although at the gravesite it is still retrospective. Finally, the Day of the Dead is about love and not fear. It is not a strange ritual. It is very similar to going to a gravesite and leaving flowers or stuffed animals and lighting candles to remember someone. It is not a careless or fearless confrontation of death. It is a moment to reflect upon one's life and the cycle of life and death, and to remember the ones we love.